You guys ready? This meeting is called to order. Welcome to the Wednesday, January 8th meeting of the Board of Education. Please stand for a moment of silence, a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. A moment of silence is going to be dedicated to our 39th president, Jimmy Carter, who the country is mourning his loss this past week. Please keep his family in your thoughts and prayers as they go through these difficult times. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Trombetta to present the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful break and a happy new year. I'd like to start by thanking Mr. Torquato for being brave to sitting all up by himself, where he's leaving all his Sagamore friends behind, hiding in the back. I just said to Scott and Michael, now their senior year is going to fly by because when you come back from Christmas, that's when the year just takes off. So hopefully you're going to enjoy every event moving forward. You've worked hard for this, and we're very proud of you, but enjoy it all. Scheduling meetings have begun. The students have started meeting with their counselors. And I just wanted to give a quick update on the softball field. That's were approved last year. I know we've received a couple questions on where we are with the timeline. We are still waiting for approval from the state. Unfortunately, we're about 6 weeks behind when we did our baseball fields, because even though we passed the softball fields on the first budget, we needed to wait for the second budget to be passed because we needed to tie it to inside projects to receive the funding back for it. So we are behind. We're still waiting for the state, but I will continue to give you updates as soon as we know more about that. And that's it, Mr. Gavo.
Let's turn it over to student board members to present an update to the board. Scott?
Good evening, everyone. Obviously, we just went through our break, so there is not a whole much to report on in terms of past, but upcoming tomorrow and Friday, we have our curriculum fair going on all periods throughout the day at North. It's a great opportunity for students to go and check out possible electives for their classes. Guidance counselors are, I'm sure, very busy with getting ready to handle all their students, deciding what electives and what courses they want to take for the rest of their academic career at North. The curriculum night for incoming ninth graders is tomorrow, the 9th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Again, just a great opportunity for these younger incoming ninth graders to explore the opportunities that we have at North. I know the honor societies are giving great opportunities for honor society members to go and speak in front of the students in their classes to just tell these kids about what the classes are all about, the workload, and how much fun they really are. One more thing to mention, the carpentry training program at North has been working very hard to build sheds for the elementary schools. They've done an outstanding job. They've built sheds for Nokomis, Winona, Cayuga, and Hiawatha.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Mike?
Hello, everybody. I hope you all had a great break. CHMES is also having a curriculum fair. The student fair, day 1 and 2, is for grades 9 through 11 and is on January 9th and 10th. The parent night, day 3, is for incoming 9th grade students on January 16th. I would like to shout out CHME senior Ibi Suleiman, which is named the Regeneron Scholar. The Super Bowl of Caring for East is sponsored by the Volunteer Club, and we would like our students and teachers to donate canned soup or mac and cheese, and it must be turned in by February 10th. And I would also like to say our Spirit Week went great, and we had lots of participation with it.
Michael, you just mentioned the scholarship that Ibby won.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know what that is. Maybe you could just share with, are you familiar with it?
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm sorry. It's my understanding is he won a full tuition scholarship.
Oh, yes.
He got Princeton University.
Yes,
Yeah.
through Questbridge.
So it's a
Yes.
tremendous accomplishment.
And the Regeneron Scholar was through through Science Research Program, and so I know some as of right now.
Okay, thank you. All right. We have approval of minutes from December 18th. A motion, please. Okay, Stephanie, second Meredith. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Outside visitors tonight? Okay. Item 3 is business items. We have a consent agenda A through E. Any motion, please? Ms. Isernia, second. Stephanie, Volpe, questions or discussions?
Just a question, Rob.
Vinny?
Yeah, just a comment or a question. on the claims audit report. I looked at the, I guess, the report that the auditor sent us, and in the action and resolution, there seemed to be a lot of items that arose from, I guess, new clerical folks coming in. So I don't know if that was just because we had new people coming in and there was sort of a turnover, or maybe we can just understand that a little bit.
Some of those comments were invoices over 90 days,
Right.
and some of them were confirming purchase orders. And yes, that was this current year, we attritioned several of our clerical positions, and everybody was taking on new roles.
New responsibilities. Okay.
It's still a learning curve for some of the
Okay.
individuals in those
Yep, that's what I
buildings.
thought. I just wanted to check. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? And so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3F was excluded from that consent agenda. It's a regionalization plan. I guess we'll get a motion in a second, and I guess there'll be some discussion about it. So I need a motion. Ms. Cherny, second. Ms. Reynolds. Okay, questions or discussion? I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Trombetta. My understanding is that we're in a really tight, time frame as to
Yes.
when this has to happen, which is why it was put on the agenda tonight as to where the board is with regards to opting in or opting out of the
Yes.
regionalization plan.
So we have until next Wednesday to let the state know whether we're opting in or out of it. Right now, more and more districts are voting this week, and I'll let Chris speak on it as well. Based on, there's a lot of unknowns what's going on with the regionalizations. We're given promises that it's going to be more about sharing resources as opposed to basically sharing districts. And the reason the districts are opting out at this moment, we have a handful opting in, but most of them are opting out, is because of the unknowns. We're afraid that BOCES is going to be centralizing more school districts and taking control. Like we spoke about at past meetings, they're trying to make all the transcripts the same, courses the same, the different pathways, everything's happening at the same time, making one wonder, what if?
Questions?
I don't know if Chris wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, mostly the board has to make a decision by the 15th if you want to opt out. A lot of our clients are electing to opt out and are adopting resolutions this week or early next week to opt out. Not everyone. Other districts are electing to opt in.
One of the parts of the resolution does state that we would have the right to opt back in. Chris wrote that into it, the resolution.
Okay, Matthew?
The ones that are opting in, is there a makeup what's the makeup of the districts opting in?
From what I'm looking at, most of the districts, and Chris can add, he knows more of the districts, the ones that are smaller are opting in, the East End ones, the larger schools like ours are opting out.
Stephanie?
One of the things that I read about was that if you opt out, you're out for 3 years, but we're putting in to our resolution that if we want to go back in, we can go in sooner than the 3 years.
Yeah, we put that in there because we think that there will be the authority to opt back in. Again, there's still a lot of unknown, but it's better to put it in so that you have the ability to opt in. I would think that if you, at some point you elect to opt in, I don't think anyone's going to prevent you from doing that.
Just
Meredith? Oh,
one more,
seven. Yep.
just to add, there might be a lot of shift federally. So right now we might not be wanting to opt in, but then what if things change federally where we need to opt in? I don't want to make it an issue for our students losing out where other districts get things that we wouldn't be entitled to by opting out. So again, the unknown would make me lean towards opting out, but I do have concerns what's going to happen in education in the future. So, we're in a tough spot.
I can share that when we had this conversation prior to the break, most of the districts around us, everyone was pausing and holding, but at that time, everyone was kind of leaning toward opting in still. And we now, since coming back from break and knowing that the state of the state is Tuesday, but yet we have to decide by Wednesday, again, very coincidental, leaning toward more questions as to why. And now more of our district makeup is opting out.
Meredith?
I know that it's very hard, especially dealing with the New York State governor, to understand these things. Is there anything that you can see repercussion-wise if we opt out? And if we do want to opt out, how do we go about that?
So if we're opting out, I have to send a letter from myself letting them know that we're opting out with the resolution attached, and I'll be doing that tomorrow. It's already been drafted by Chris's office for me. And do you see any repercussions? Again, it's just like everything else. When we send a letter up to the governor, we're always rolling the dice. We don't know, but in this case, there's a lot more districts now opting out. That would make me feel comfortable that you couldn't do it to everybody.
Mr. Attorney?
I just want to reiterate, well, I share all the same concerns we discussed about the unknowns and seems to be a moving target with the state. But I also want to reiterate what I had mentioned before, that, changes to our educational system in this state of this magnitude should have been debated on the floor of the Assembly and the floor of the Senate by our elected officials. This is all being done without input of our public officials that we elect to represent us up there. So I'm just fundamentally opposed to that kind of change, especially something of this magnitude. So I'm going to be a no, obviously, when we vote, but I just want to get that on the record.
Okay. Other comments? I know a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of pause because there was constant changes that were happening with the language within the regionalization plan. In the last 3 weeks, since, has there been any changes, or has it been pretty much the same language?
It's pretty much the same. The only real, the main change was the ability for districts to opt out. That was the major change that we've had. That's basically it.
Okay.
Of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If this plan goes forward.
It may be forced it.
All right. So, any other questions? All right. So, I have a motion and a second. Okay. The recommended action on the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education, approve the following resolution memorializing Sachem Central School District's election not to participate and opt out of the development and implementation of the regionalization plan. All right. All in favor? All right. Opposed? All right. Motion is carried. Brings us to item 4. We have personal consent agenda A through H for our teachers. Any motion, please? Mr. Reynolds, second. Mr. Baumann, questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Ms. Capolita?
Thank you very much. We'd like to take an opportunity to recognize Mr. Joseph Marinelli, who's out here in the audience with us today. Joseph has just been granted tenure by the Board of Education as a special educator in our Waverly School and has been with us in this position through 2020. So we'd ask if you could just come up for a moment. We'd like to give you a small token as a recognition, a Sachem pin, and congratulations.
Want to take a picture? Let's take a picture. Okay, brings us to item 5. We have a personal consent agenda A through E for support staff. Any motion, please? Okay, Ms. Volpe, Mayor Volpe, second by Mike Cernia. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 6, we have a consent agenda for contracts, items A and B. Any motion, please? Stephanie Volpe, second. Michael Cernia, questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 7, there's no vote on it, but it's the second reading of our policies, changes to a couple of our policies, or revisions, I should say. Any questions on these policies? Oh, there's a vote on this one?
Just a comment, Rob. Oh, do you want to do a motion first?
Yeah, I need a motion. Mr. Cerny, second by Mayor Volpe. Questions or discussions?
Just a comment, and Chris, I don't know if I can maybe direct this to you. On page, that document that was sent to us, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but page 13 of 20 in policy 4321, there's just a word in there called TIS. It just doesn't make sense. So just a spell check. That's all I'm asking. Page 13 of 20. It's policy 4321, section 14, letter C. It's just a word that doesn't make sense. I read it. It just says TIS, lowercase. Tis, is that, it didn't read right. So maybe take a look at it.
He's in the front
Tis
row.
the season. I have no idea. So just
Mr.
maybe-
Weston, can you help us with that?
Got any English teachers in the room? So maybe you can just read this, right? So just before you print it, just read maybe if there's a typo. All right, thanks.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 8, committees on special education. We have a consent agenda A through B. Any motion, please? Matthew Bauman, second by Michael Cerny. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 9 brings us to board committee reports. Any updates? Stephanie Volpe,
Legislative committee meeting tomorrow night on Zoom. That's all.
what time?
7:45.
7:45. Okay, and at that particular time, we're going to be giving them charges that we discussed? We've done that already.
We did give them charges, then we
Okay.
rediscussed charges, but we still have to pick committee
Okay.
chair people.
Okay,
And then, depending on the chair people chosen, then we'll discuss who's doing what charge.
okay.
So
Okay.
soon.
Any other updates?
And to touch on that, we talk about like the rally. The union has asked, they're still working on it, but they're waiting till after the state of the state on Tuesday to find out more of direction.
One of the people who might be a chairperson is also in discussion with the union so everybody's on the same page. So, but we have nothing to say because we didn't pick them yet.
Okay, any other monthly reports? Sabrina?
Nothing. With the curriculum council met tonight via Zoom. We just continued our discussions on Portrait of a Graduate, Seal of Biliteracy, our curriculum guides and things like that, and what the curriculum teams are doing in each of the buildings. So just, they presented us with more material, and we're going to meet again in February. We're going to decide whether that's Zoom or in person.
Okay, budget advisory?
Yeah, we're going to kick off the Budget Advisory Committee at the end of this month. I think we're ready, right, Ms. Sarakis, just to kind of reconvene the committee. I did get an email from a community member today on the committee asking when we're going to start. I said I'd speak with you tonight. Let's get some dates, and maybe by the end of the month, we'll get back into that, right?
Right, so our next presentation is at the next meeting on
Perfect.
January 27th.
So I'll look to schedule it perhaps the night after the next meeting.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Item 10, closing comments. Allison, any? All right. Item 11 is old business. There's no old business on the agenda.
Do we have any updates on Union Avenue?
Actually, I just got one today from Doug Smith. He had lunch with Betty Rosa, and she is fast tracking it. So we were asked to provide, John Grillo provided one of her assistants all the information. So hopefully that'll start to move quicker.
All right. Any other old business? Board discussion items. We don't have any tonight. This is a regionalization. Future items for discussion. Anybody? The one I want to add is just, I know that the board was provided some information with BOCE CTE courses. I'd like the board to have a discussion so we can see where the board is on this. I've spoken to several board members, and I think there's some more discussion that needs to happen with regards to part of it. I think there's an agreement with some of it, most of it. But I think, before we move forward, before we tell kids that they can't take a program next year, at least have the board have the opportunity to weigh in and be able to discuss that, because I think it's important, especially for those kids. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. Other future discussion items?
I know that tomorrow is, and I know not a lot of districts do it. We have the Family Connect nights. I know that some parents were upset because they have Family Connect night, but then they're scheduling curriculum nights on that. So it's like you have your family night, but then mom and one of the kids or dad and the kid have to go to they're not getting that full effect. I know a lot of people are just happy there's no homework on those days, but maybe just be mindful of scheduling events on Family Connect night so that, it does end up being a true Family Connect night.
Any other future discussion items, comments, Meredith?
Just a quick comment. Anybody who is going to go to North tomorrow night, I know that Sachem North Cheer is running a drive where you bring in all your old unwanted clothes and all that stuff, and you could just drop it right off at the school at 6 o'clock. And it will be a fundraiser for them, but it'll help you guys clear out your closet. I think I already have about 15 bags happily waiting.
Okay, at this particular time, I need a motion to go into exec session, discuss personnel update involving staff members made known to the board. Need a motion, please? Okay, Stephanie Volpe, second by Matthew Bauman. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you all. Get home safe.
Have a great night.